Your kid never listens. Dr. Becky Kennedy says you're probably not setting a boundary, you're making a request.
Let's just define what they are. A boundary is something you tell someone you will do, and it requires the other person to do nothing. And so if we think about a time when we think we're setting a boundary, and I'll use my son as an example, okay? We live in New York City. There's an elevator where we live, and my youngest has 0% people-pleasing in him, okay? Maybe good later in life, very inconvenient short term, right? And so he doesn't particularly care about like following the rules, especially when he was younger, or like trying to be compliant for, my benefit, not a thing. So for a while, he'd get into the elevator in our building and just press every button, every button, right? And I would be in the lobby and I'd say, don't press the buttons. Don't press the buttons. You're not gonna press the buttons. He'd press and then he'd press the buttons and be like, he never listens to me. It's not listening. I'm gonna go back to the definition of boundaries. A boundary is something I would tell my kid I will do, and it would require my kid to do nothing. I was not setting a boundary. I was making a request. That's true. But understanding when we're setting a boundary and when we're making a request actually helps us understand a listening problem. If I really don't want my kid to press those buttons, and he's young and he just doesn't have the ability to manage those urges, this is what I'd do. I'd say, when we get into the elevator, just so you know, I'm gonna stand between you and the buttons. And if you lunge forward, I will block your body because I'm just not gonna let you press all the buttons in the elevator. That is a boundary. Exactly. Or, and often those boundaries are physical, right? If it's too hard to turn off the TV, by the time I get over to you, I will take the remote, sweetie, because screen time is over. And when we set an actual boundary, you know what it always prevents? Let me have the remote. Let me have the remote. I asked you for the remote. I asked you for the remote. Why don't you give me the remote? And then we say, forget it. No screen time tomorrow. And then we're like the only one who suffers from that decision and make up a million reasons that we're like, well, I said no screen time, but I guess I didn't say no iPad, so you can have iPad. It's like the randomest stuff, right? Because actually, I just didn't do my job in the beginning of setting a boundary.